Subscribe to my mommy's channel. Like, comment, and share.
One thing nobody tells you when you become a mom is how expensive it really is to raise a child. Not just diapers and formula, but every little thing that adds up. Welcome back to Where is the Manual, the podcast where we talk about the real and unfiltered parts of parenting that nobody prepares you for. I'm your girl Kiki, and today we're going to get into one of the hardest but most important conversations in co-parenting, the money talk. Who pays for what costs? How do you decide how you will split the costs? Do you need to take your co-parent to court? Now, when I became a new mom, I thought I had a rough idea of how much it would cost to raise my child. I thought, okay, diapers, clothes, food. Okay, I got this. But once you sit down and really calculate how much you spend month after month, that number will shock you. And the part that stings the most, the non-custodial parent usually has no idea what those numbers actually look like. They don't see the day-to-day bills. They don't see the Target runs, the after-school invoices, the $20 last-minute class party donations. They just don't feel the financial weight of it all. Let me tell you, the day-to-day cost adds up fast. It's not even just the big things, food, rent, childcare. It's those tiny million little things. The groceries. And let me tell you, these kids eat way more than you think, especially if you're trying to feed them healthy, right? And all those things, snacks and all, it disappears like magic. Clothes and shoes, because somehow your child will outgrow a pair of shoes in 90 days. So you're constantly changing clothes. You're constantly buying new shoes. And sometimes, I must admit, my child didn't even get to wear all the clothes or shoes that I've already bought. That's how fast it goes. Then there's school expenses, the field trips, the school supplies, uniforms, fundraisers, donations, the after-school programs. And of course, there's enrichment activities, right? Because there's gymnastics, there's tutoring, soccer, ballet, martial arts, piano lessons, summer camp, right? All of that costs money. And depending on what state you live in, like I live in New York City, yeah, it is a grip. Then there's healthcare, right? The co-pays, whatever you pay as your premium payment for your job, prescriptions, dental, glasses, right? Because they obviously lose them and break them all the time. So you have to replace them more than once a year. All of those things adds up to thousands every month. And unless you're the parent managing it every day, you really don't get the picture. In reality, raising a child isn't just about keeping a roof over their head and food in their belly. It's about maintaining the quality of life and stability that they deserve. And unless you're the one in charge of paying those bills, it's easy to underestimate how much that really costs. Honestly, I don't even think most of the non-custodial parents are trying to be malicious when they think that $400 is enough to take care of a child. They just don't see the full picture. And of course, there's the malicious ones, right? That's a whole other subject. When you're not the one swiping your card at Target each week, when you're not paying after school or buying last minute supplies for a school project, you don't really feel the financial weight of raising a child. It's so easy for the non-custodial parent to assume everything is covered because your child is looking cute, fly, hair's done. They have the, clothes, they have clean shoes on, they got a haircut. But they don't understand that the custodial parent is doing mental gymnastics, trying to figure out how to stretch this check across all these different expenses. And honestly, the gap in awareness is where so many arguments start. And here's the part that really grinds my gears. When I hear people say, well, the mom just wants the money for herself, or why should I help her pay the rent? Sir, You chose to lay with this woman. And more importantly, your child lives in that home where your child lays their head. That should matter to you. Safe housing, stability, lights on, food in the fridge. That's not supporting the mom. That's supporting your child's well-being, period. So when I hear those kinds of excuses, what I really hear is someone trying to dodge their responsibilities. Now, let's be honest here. Sometimes you get lucky and your co-parent is consistent and willing to contribute without a fight. And that happened for quite a while in my life. Because when that happens, it's a blessing. But here's the thing, though. That works until it doesn't. Because when money is not written down anywhere, when it's not documented, all it is just a promise. And promises can stop the moment things go sour, when there's a disagreement, or when feelings change. That money all of a sudden isn't so willingly coming to you. Oh, and I got stories for that, but that's for a later episode. And this is why I can say at this time, don't rely on goodwill alone. It doesn't have to be court, right? But it should be written down somewhere. Even if it's just a private agreement. Put that amount down, the due date, what it covers, both of you sign it. So let's make sure there's some accountability here, right? Like this is going to make sure that everyone is on the same page. I'm not saying court is always the answer. Court is hella stressful and expensive. But having things on paper is a protection for you. It's not a punishment, or it shouldn't be. It's about ensuring stability for your child. And then if you don't have something documenting, you're leaving yourself unprotected. And if that child support stops, guess who suffers? The custodial parent and the child. Now, let's switch a little bit. Let's get into that whole thing that everybody gets all up in arms about, the celebrity child support cases. Every time the news report that some celebrities paying $20,000 or $50,000 a month in child support, people lose their minds. You see the comments on social media, right? That's outrageous. No kid needs that much money. But here's what people forget. Those numbers are relative to the lifestyle that the child is accustomed to or were born into. If your parents are multimillionaires, your normal includes private schools, international traveling on private jets, right? Security, right? Homes in different states. That's their baseline. So yes, child support looks differently for everyone. Right? It looks differently for a celebrity or someone who's wealthy. It's not about spoiling the child. It's about maintaining the standard of living that they are accustomed to or they were born into. And guess what? The same principle applies to everyday families like me. Right? Maybe you're not a millionaire, but your child should still have the lifestyle you created for them. If that means sport, enrichment activities, safe housing, healthy food, then that's what support should cover. So the next time people roll their eyes at celebrity child support numbers, remember, it's not about the exact dollar amount. It's about fairness, stability, and consistency. My biggest piece of advice is always going to be now track your spending every single month. How much are you spending per month? For years, I didn't. And because of that, I sold myself short. I minimized what I was covering because I didn't have the numbers in front of me. And that just made it easy for me to accept less than what I was raising my daughter on. You don't need a fancy system, right? So you can get a notebook, a Google Sheet, your notepad in your phone. There's actually some apps to categorize your expenses, which some people use that for other things, right? So why not use that for the cost of how much it costs to raise your child or your children? You should definitely write everything down. Food, school, clothes, enrichment, medical, transportation, right? Rent, mortgage. Because when you do that, you can walk into any conversation, whether it's with your co-parent, a mediator, or even a court, and show exactly what it costs to raise your child. This is not emotional. It's not a fight. It's just plain old facts. And here's what it is, right? This is what it costs. This is what I've been paying. This is what I'm covering. And this is what's fair. And obviously, there's some calculations that the courts do, which it's a whole other subject. And that sometimes can be a disadvantage, right? But we all know, like, they're going to give you something, right? So something is better than nothing. And without having something formalized, it is too easy to minimize your role, to feel guilty for asking for support, or even settling for less than what your child actually needs. So here's what I want everyone to remember. My takeaways through my experience has been to don't guess, calculate, don't assume, document it, and don't let anyone guilt you into thinking child support is about you. It's about your child. We all know that. Don't sell yourself short. Your child deserves the support their life requires. The money talk isn't easy. We all know that. It's emotional. It's uncomfortable. And sometimes it feels dead wrong and unfair. But raising a child is expensive. And no one parent should carry that burden or weight alone. If you're the custodial parent, protect yourself. Track what you spend, formalize agreements if you can, and advocate for your child. If you're the non-custodial parent, open your eyes. Don't assume a couple $100s is enough. Ask questions, look at the numbers, show up in a way that reflects what your child actually needs. At the end of the day, child support isn't about punishing anyone. It's about making sure the child thrives, that they have the stability, that they don't feel any gaps that we adults create for them. So until next time, thank you for listening to today's episode of Where's the Manual? I'm Kiki. I hope this conversation gives you clarity, maybe even some courage to start tracking, documenting, and having those tough talks. Always remember to keep showing up for your kids, keep protecting your peace, and remember, none of us got the manual.
Subscribe to my mommy's channel, like, comment, and share. See you all next time.